Okay, welcome back. This is the second part, or third part actually, of the tutorial. So we are here right now. Now we're going to be looking at command 1, command 2, and whatever their names are. And we see that it's not going to be command 1 and 2, but we're actually going to bind them to these different actions. We're going to call them, I think I wrote fight actions. It's very badly written. Fight actions here. So we're going to have an interface called fight action with an execute method on them that they need to implement, all of them. So no matter if we are healing or doing a fireball or the dragon kicks someone, we're just going to call that an action which can be executed. And how and when and on who, that is actually up to the different commands. So there's a big difference between healing someone and kicking someone. So let's go for the implementation. So if we go in here, we see we have the different classes from before, the avatar and the dragon and the wizard. And just to follow the pattern I did before, I'm going to create a new package, and inside of that package I'm going to put command, just to say that in here I want my different commands. And also so you can easily identify this is actually part of this pattern here. So the command will be this part here that we're going to focus on. This is the command. So first off, let's create the interface because it's so easy. So let's go for that first. So I'll create a new interface. I'm going to call that fight action, I think. And the fight action interface should only have one method, public void execute. Very simple method here. So anyone who is a command should implement the execute method. And we have like 5 commands here. Maybe we're not going to do all of them. Maybe I'm going to combine something, but you'll get the general idea. So I think I'm going to drop this for now, and I think let's just make this into the same fireball. So we'll drop that and say that the dragon itself, it can only use fireball, and he can actually use both healing and fireball and lightning. So before I create these, I want to explain why I created 3 of these. So the first one is the simplest one. So if you're going to heal anyone, there's not much information you actually need about that. You need to have something like a target. Who do you actually want to heal? We could imagine that a wizard like this guy is a really good wizard here. So this guy here, this brilliant wizard, he's actually able to heal, so he could heal either himself or he could heal someone else. So that's why we need something like a target. We need to know who are we actually going to heal. So, and that target is going to be some kind of receiver. And luckily we already have 2 receivers. We have the dragon and the wizard. And we're not going to call them receivers, we're going to call them avatars. So any of these is going to be used on an avatar. In other words, we can see here that this command will actually use the avatar. So in other words, these different kinds of actions will use the avatar. So for the healing, we need a target and we need some kind of HP value or something like that. And that is actually all we need, because we know who is going to be healed and how much is it going to be healed. Sorry. So let's go in here. So let's try to do that first. So I'm going to create a new class under the command, and I'm going to call that heal. And we're going to implement the fight action interface. By implementing that, we also need to implement all the methods, which is one in this case called execute. So when we want to heal something, we know that there are actually two things that we can do. We need the target and we need the HP. So in order, if we need these two for any healing action, we also need to set them immediately. So we actually need to save them as kind of a state on this command, so that whenever we create the command, we actually set who is the receiver and what are the parameters that we're going to use. We can see that here, command 1, receiver, and different parameters. The parameters over here, these parameters, are actually the parameters from here. So they can be different dependent on what we want to do. And the receiver here is done, this receiver right here is either this guy or this guy. In other words, it's an avatar. So we need to put an avatar here and the parameters as well. And for healing, the parameters will be target and HP, and we would also need here to have something like, oh sorry, this is the avatar itself, right? So there's only one parameter, that is HP. So let's try to put it here. So I'm going to put private avatar we're going to call that target because it's the target avatar, and we're also going to say private double HP, which will be the amount of HP that we want to heal. We need to import avatar because it's in another package. There's no problem in doing that, so we'll just do that. So we can see we have the receiver avatar. We also want, whenever we create this class, we want to have the target and the HP. So whenever we create this healing command, we need to know who are we going to affect and how are we going to affect it. So we say who, receiver, how, parameters. And on the execute, we want to use these two internal, these member variables. We want to use these for executing the command. And this is what differentiates the different commands, because this command might have different internal member variables than this one. Almost certainly it will have. So the executor will actually be dependent on these parameters and whoever needs to receive them. Okay, so now we have this heal thing. So what should we actually do when we heal someone? So let's say I want to heal the wizard. So I could say something like target, and then I could say dot, and we can say that we can actually get his health. So we could do something like get health, and then we know how much health he has, and then we could add, for example, the HP to that, and then we could do something like target dot set health, and then just directly read how much health does he have now, and then add whatever health he needs on top of that. This would be a really easy way to do it. So let's do that for now. It's probably not the best way. I think it's not a good idea that in some way we use the heal class here to go into the internals. The health is actually an internal member variable. So I think this is business logic that should be within the target itself. Because it could be different between avatars. So if we had some kind of other avatar where we wanted this calculation to be different, we couldn't do that because it's based on actually the command class. So the best thing would be to put something like the set health method, put that directly into dragon and wizard, or directly on the avatar, or not set health, but maybe something like call it do healing or whatever. But right now we'll just do it like that. So that's the first part. So maybe for testing purposes we'll just print to the console and we'll say something like target dot get name healed for, and then the amount of HP, and then we'll write HP here. So this is it. So now we actually are able to create a command and execute that command. So let me show you how to do that. So if we go into our main method here, let's first create a wizard. So I'm going to say wizard, and let's call this wizard something like Jeppe, and new wizard. And we're going to import the wizard as well. I automatically did that here. And when we create the wizard, the first part here is we want the health and then we want shield. So very fit wizard here, 100 health. His shield is a bit weak, so it only has 13 because he is a wizard. So he's probably carrying a cotton shield or something like that. And then we want a name for this guy. Let's just call him Jeppe. So that's it. Now we have our wizard. So if we want to create a command, a heal command on this wizard, we can say fight action, and then we're going to call heal Jeppe, and we're going to set that equal to new heal, and we have to put the target and how much we want the person to heal. So let's say 25 or something. So that's it. So this is actually, now we have coupled the heal Jeppe, the instance of the fight action couples the target class, the receiver class, or the avatar class coupled to that command itself. So the command itself is only bound to healing things, but we could put any target here. And I'll show later why this can come in handy. So now that we did that, we can kind of just like test it out by running it, and it does build, but we don't actually know if it works. Let's just, although we shouldn't do this, we can just try to execute the command and see it should print something. Heal for 25 HP. Looks right. So, and it's just a good idea to test it out. So that's it for one of the commands. So now we need a fireball command. And I'm thinking for the fireball command, I want to have first, I want to know what is the source? Who actually fired this fireball? Right now it might not be important, because what's important is how many HP the target will actually have. And I want to know how much damage do we actually make with this fireball. We can obviously calculate that somehow from the source maybe, but for now we're just going to put that as a parameter. And the last thing is we're going to put the target here as well. So now we have actually just not one receiver, but actually we have two receivers. We have the source receiver and we have the target receiver. And we need to combine those and try to do some kind of damage here. So let's try that. So I'm going to create a new fight action in here, new Java class, and we're going to call that fireball. And for the fireball, we're going to say that it implements fight action. And it needs a method called execute, okay. And also we have some member variables here, like we have private, and we have the source, avatar source, and we have private avatar target private double damage. Yes. And for the fireball, just like we did with healing, we're going to create a constructor which takes both arguments. So I'm just going to do it like this. So now we created the constructor. We need to import avatar, of course, because it's in another package. So now our fireball works on any avatar. Now we just need to see what do we actually need to do here. So we could have this damage thing here. We could multiply by something or do something in the fireball. Say fireballs add fire damage plus 15% or something like that. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to put the damage here directly. So what we need to do is inflict the damage on the target. So this is the only thing we're going to do for now. So maybe the target will have some shield. So we're going to say going to calculate the damage. So we're going to say double damage equals target get shield minus damage minus the shield. And now we are only going to execute this damage if the damage is actually bigger than the shield. So if I have 25 shield and there's only 10 damage, this will be negative. And we don't want to do negative damage because just because the shield blocked doesn't mean we actually get health. So we're going to say that if the damage is actually more than 0, then we hit harder than the shield could actually take. So then we're going to say something like some kind of damage taken by, and then the name of the target, like that. So now we're printing, but we also need to actually do some damage. So we're going to say target set health equal to target get health minus damage. So that's it. Again, I'm doing it like this. I think this should be inside of the target class. This is bad practice, I think, but also bad practice to print this. But now we're doing a console application and it's just for showing, so it's probably fine. So let's go up here and then try to do another fight action here. We'll do fight action, and we're going to say fire ball at dragon, and we're going to say new fireball. And now we can't just put, if we look here, we need the source and then we need the target. So we also need the dragon here, and we don't have any dragons to fight, so let's just create one. Dragon, let's call this dragon. It's a good name for a dragon. And let's give that dragon a name as well. Let's call it Dragonis or something like that. And say he doesn't have any shield, although he has a lot of health. That's how he lives. So I need to put a dragon here. So now I'm fighting the dragon and I'm doing 25 damage here with this fireball. Maybe you could calculate this from the source and you could just omit this, I don't know. For now we're just doing it like this. So now we have two actions, so I execute the first one and I can also execute the next action here. So what I'm doing by executing my main methods here is that instead of using the invoker for holding the actual command, I'm actually just using this interface directly from the client. So right now client and invoker is in one. Okay, so that's it. So now we can do fireballs and we can do healing. So we see Jeppe healed, 25 damage taken by Dragonis. So now we did some damage to this as well. There was one last thing that we needed to do. That was lightning. So it's basically the same. I'm just thinking that for the lightning we might do something a little different. So I'm thinking that we should still have the source and we should still have the damage. But the special thing about lightning is that it's going to propagate through many. If we have more than one opponent, it will go through more of them. So we can have a source, we can have like damage, but then I think we should have one or more targets. So we're going to say we have a target, and maybe this target should be something like an array or something like that. So we'll do that. So just to show you that the amount of receivers over here can be one, can be many, you can put it any way you like. It's just important that it's actually the command binding to the receiver. So let's try to do that. New class, and we're going to be calling this lightning. Okay, and this one also implements the fight action execute. So lightning is going to have the same things as the fireball, so I'm just going to copy that pod lightning like this, and instead of having one target, it can have multiple targets. So let's try to create a constructor. I'm going to do something different here. Instead of having the target here, I'm going to say I want the damage in the middle and then the target last, because then I can do some magic here. So instead of doing it like this, I could do something where I can have any amount that I want. So instead of having this here, in Java you can do these 3 dots, and that actually means that it's still an array, but when you put it, when you create this lightning, you can put one avatar here, and you can put 2 avatars and separate them by comma, or you can put an array. It doesn't matter, it still becomes an array in the end. So I'll just show that in a moment. And then for execution of lightning, we want to do the same thing as the fireball, and again this is why it's a bad idea to do the calculations like this, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm copying that. You know, when you're copy pasting something, it's not very good. So here, so now we get the shield and everything. Oh yeah, so right now the target itself is not working, of course. I'm going to call this targets because there are multiple, right? Maybe this should also be called targets like this, okay? So, but it still doesn't know about target. So what I want to do, that for each target that I have here, I want to actually do the same thing. So I'm just going to do a for each loop by writing for e and then using tab. That will actually automatically create that for me, and I like that, so I just put it here, and now I am actually targeting everyone. So that's it. And I could write something that this was actually lightning damage, so I'll just do that. Lightning damage taken by, maybe I should do that here fire damage, something like that. So let's go up and test this out as well. So I'm going to create another fight action, and let's call this lightning at dragon, new lightning. And we see first we need the source, then we need the damage, then the avatar. The reason for this being last, not like the other ones, is because of the 3-dot notation. This only works in the end of the list. So I need to move the dragon here. So this doesn't look very good. I think if I do this for lightning, I should do it here as well. So I'm actually going to change this. So I go to my fireball. I'm going to move this one to the end as well, because the other is going to confuse someone at some point, meaning me, very soon. So I do like this, and I also like this way of showing it. Let's say that the lightning damage is smaller because it works on multiples, 12 or something. So then we execute the lightning at dragon as well. That's it. So let's test it out. And we see that we only provided one dragon. We could actually provide it twice if we wanted to. So then it would actually fight the dragon twice. And we can put an array here as well. So this is the common notation that I talked about. We can even fight ourselves if we wanted to, no problem here. Okay. Okay, some problem here, we'll deal with that later. So we can put multiples here, no problem. So that's I don't know if it would be a good idea, but yeah, we can do it like that. So that's it. So that's it for this thing here. We actually looked at how to do the command itself, how to couple the command with the receiver, so that now we have good connection between the two. We have so that our dragon can use the fireball, and actually the dragon can use heal as well. So we would have to set some kind of policy or something that would enable it not to have heal and lightning, but yeah. So in order for us to use the dragon, we can just do fireball from the dragon here, fireball from dragon, and we can move these. So, and let's make it a bit better. So that's it. So it doesn't say that I took any damage, so maybe it has to do with the... No, it has a very low shield. Yeah, so let's look into that. But yeah, so we can now do the different commands on both of them. So stay tuned for the next part, where we will actually kind of create the game engine that will be using the command pattern here itself. So we will decouple the client itself, starting this. I'm going to change this Invoker a bit, but you'll see in the next video. I better say that we did this as well. This was the interface, like that. So that's it for this tutorial. Stay tuned for number 3.